Hello and welcome to FlightSim Alaska. I'm Dave. For today's video, I'm going to take a little diversion from our tour of Alaska in the way that I'd imagined it initially. So we're sitting in Palmer, Alaska, which is north of Anchorage by about an hour's drive or so. So it's like 35 or 40 miles, something like this. And that's significantly north of our last video, which was just south of Seward and the Kenai Peninsula. But I was just flying around for fun a little while ago, kind of looking for some places to scope out, and I came across a local gem. Now, Palmer is not far from where I live, and this isn't my hometown, but it's super close, and it's sort of like my hometown. I come here to do grocery shopping sometimes, and hung out here when I was a kid, all that good stuff. So our plan today is to check out the Independence Gold Mine, and it does not show up. I'm using my GPS here to kind of give you some context. Here's a Kenai Peninsula. This is where we've been visiting, and pardon me while I figure out my GPS. I don't know how this doggone thing works. I'm not used to this aircraft. And here we are in Palmer. I'm zooming in. This is the Turnagain Arm, and then the Matanuska River and the Knik River, and we're sitting in Palmer. And what we're going to do, wrong direction, is we're going to fly out of here and then kind of up in here. It does not show well in the sim here on the map, but this is generally where we're at. And anyways, I when we flew up there, it was a bit of a treat. And the only reason I'm starting here as opposed to the end of the runway is because this is super scenic and really representative of what I see when I drive through here. This here is Matanuska Peak, and this here is Pioneer Peak. This is a very rugged peak with these great big rock slide areas and this kind of stuff. And there's Lazy Mountain. We can't see it here, just behind. I'll point that out here in a little bit. But anyways, I'm gonna taxi down the runway here, and I might leave you for that one. I might not make you come with me the whole way. Then we'll come back and we'll start talking about the area, and then head up towards the Independence Gold Mine there and Hatcher's Pass. Okay, I lied. I am absolutely going to keep talking. So this area here is it doesn't render in here, but this is where the Department of Natural Resources in our state, the Forestry Division, houses all of their big firefighting equipment. This is in this airport off to our right here, pretty much where all these little airplanes are, just where we're at. And then off to our nose here as well. Again, it doesn't show up. I think there's those kind of big airplanes that drop flame retardant. I don't remember what the heck they are. I am not much of an aviator. I'm kind of terrible at this. Still trying to learn it. I am in the Cessna 172 Skyhawk today, and it's sort of a new aircraft for me to deal with. I've been flying in the in that super easy to fly Icon A5, which is great because it's a water aircraft, and that's just really common for Alaska. Not super authentic of an aircraft for Alaska, but it's what I've got, and it gets me around. So here we are again, pointing towards this beautiful vista, which is so pretty in real life, and this really does it justice. Maybe not as much as I'd like it to. It's not as authentic as I'd like it to be, but here, this is the Knik River, goes up off that valley there, and again, we've got Matanuska Peak and Lazy Mountain. Is a very, very popular hiking destination there. Let's see here. I'm going to pause at this runway and kind of figure out where I need to go. I don't think I need to go all the way to the end of that. I think I'm going to cheat and be bad, and we're just going to take off right from here. I don't know if that's really allowed, but we're going to do it. We're not even jacking with ATC today because we're going places that I've never seen an aircraft go since I've been here. Not because you can't, but because I think it's really dangerous. So we're looking ahead of us. This is the Talkeetna Mountains out in front of us here, and those got rendered in extremely, extremely well. And boy, I can't say enough how much this looks like home. This kind of is home, honestly. Again, I'm still trying to get used to this aircraft, so I may not do this super great. Here we go. This is looking okay now. So we're taking off from the Palmer Buddy Woods Airport. I think that's what it's called. We're about to pass over the Matanuska River. Some cool stuff about that I absolutely love. Off to our left here, there's this big sort of slide-looking area. There's an overlook just on the top of that. You can look down, and it's absolutely gorgeous there. Very, very true to life. Except for the fact that the river here is all kinds of texture that doesn't belong. But not only that, this river is not that wide. It is all mostly mud flats. It's just one little ribbon of river that we see kind of cut through here, and mostly it's sandbanks and that kind of thing. So we're aimed right at Hatcher's Pass, which is a very, very popular recreation area, and that's where we're going to head today. I'm super excited about it. Off to our left here, this is Palmer, Alaska. I have no idea what that building is. Probably the old hospital or something. I don't know. And Palmer it's not a huge place. It's a town of about a little shy of 7,500 people. It's the seat of the Matanuska-Susitna borough. Now, in Alaska, we don't have counties. We have boroughs. And the Matanuska-Susitna borough, where I live, is roughly the size of West Virginia. Just to give you an idea. And there's just a little over 100,000 people that live here, I think. So give you a little bit of the scale that I haven't necessarily talked about yet. And again, we're just a little bit north of Anchorage. I actually commute to Anchorage routinely for my job. And here, this is the Matanuska River. This should be a single channel with a few braids of river, and this is mostly mud flats in here. A lot of erosion goes on in here. There's big problems with that. I don't know if I'll talk about that just now, but that's a thing. Somewhere below us, there are two features, I think. The muskoxen farm and a golf course. The muskox farm is actually this right here behind us. I think that's right. Now, if you don't know what muskoxen are, they're really cool animals. They've got long hair. They live out in western Alaska in the Arctic, and we'll talk about those guys later. But this is the only place where that I'm aware of that they've got a farm, and they sell the hair, the fur off these things. It's called kiviut, and it's outrageously expensive. They wind it into yarn, and it's like $200 an ounce or something ridiculous. But it's also outrageously warm stuff. So also in this area, there's a lot of farming, agriculture kind of stuff. It's not, agriculture you might recognize in the lower 48 or other parts of the world. It's, pretty much potato farming and hay and straw and that kind of stuff. And that's about all more they do out here on the other side of Palmer in the Butte area. And we'll probably explore that in a video when I feel like sticking it in. They'll do other kinds of stuff like greens and that kind of thing. We don't really do wheat or barley or anything like that in this area. Just the soils are all wrong for it, and the growing season's a bit short. So yeah, we're headed over. We're still kind of in the area we generally regard as Palmer. I've got that in air quotes there. You can't see it because whatever. But yeah, this is super representative. A lot of houses out here, old farms. You can kind of see them. Some of them are still kind of doing their thing. I worked for a guy when I was in high school, kind of out this direction, who was a German dude, and he had a huge dog team, 60 dogs. My job was to feed them and shovel the poop. So that was cool for a couple of years, and he was a really neat guy. And it was cool. The dogs liked to see you, and they were really happy when you brought the food. So that was a lot of fun. I guess working for a dog musher is pretty Alaskan thing to do. Only did that for I think a summer, maybe a winter on top of that. This here is the Little Susitna River flowing that direction. That empties into the Cook Inlet, and that comes out of here and up in this Hatcher's Pass area, which is a state rec area, state recreation area. That is. It's really a scenic little river, very very pretty. It's a rushing river, very, very, very cold, washed river rocks all over it. Yeah, it's super cool. I kind of wish I could show that here the way that it is. So off to our left here, somewhere, and it doesn't render in here super well, and I'm not 100% sure where it is. I'm not that familiar with it. Is what we call the Government Peak Recreation Area, and it's a lot of hiking trails, and there's a lot of cross-country skiing and that kind of stuff that goes on in there. And this, I think, is Government Peak, and it's kind of nestled right up in here. But I just don't even really see it. Again, we see the Little Sioux, or the Little Susitna River here. And again, that last, the word Susitna, I don't. That's derived from the local Dena'ina Athabascan names, but it's not, I don't think, totally accurate. I actually did not pull out the Dena'ina Athabascan dictionary for this one because I really wanted to talk about other parts of the history, and we're going to have plenty of time to talk about the Dena'ina history and what I can find about it when we come back through this area at some point. So parts of this looks terrible, and part of this looks good, which is cool in a drag. This looks really good. This is not, but it's cool. A lot of tundra up in here. This area is really popular again for hiking, for berry picking. That's a big deal in this area. Blueberries, crowberries, and if you don't know what crowberries are, they're these little blackberries that are almost flavorless that grow right against the ground, and they're all throughout here. And of course, blueberries. I think you know what we're talking about there. Now, you can kind of see the road here, and I believe this is the Palmer Fishhook Road, and it's kind of a switchback, so it's right below us. Let's take a nose down without crashing. Yeah, you can kind of see it there just off my compass, and it follows the Little Sioux, and there's a switchback, and there are hiking trails all throughout here. There's one that goes back up in Archangel Valley here. There's one that goes back up there. There's a glacier back in there called Bomber Glacier. I have not scoped that out. And then there's this switchback that goes into the Independence Mine in actual Hatcher's Pass. So if you take this road up, it'll take you all the way out towards Willow on the other side of the Talkeetna Mountains. And I've done it just once, and it's really pretty, but it's really long. Now on the other side of this, there's active mines still going on. In fact, up in this valley, there's still active gold mines. But the reason I wanted to come here was because, so hang on, I gotta pause just for a second. This is a little pullout. You can stop there. I think there's cabins and stuff in here. You can either rent or that kind of thing. I've never done that because I live so close. There's no point. But all this stuff looks really good, and this is so steep through here. It's really hard to get a car up in here. Now, I've never seen a plane fly up in here. I feel like over it, yeah, but it strikes me that this is maybe kind of dangerous to do, and maybe not, because again, I flew it not that long ago in the sim, and it worked out okay. Now, things aren't rendering in very well or very quickly, but as I keep saying throughout the sim, this is very, very rugged through here. These are very tall spires of like dark gray rock all through here. But up here is the Independence Gold Mine, a popular state recreation site, and that mine was in operation in the early 1900s, mid 1900s, like 1950s and that kind of stuff, 40s. I don't remember the exact dates, but during its heyday, it was one of the most productive mines in the country, and there are still active mines all throughout here. Now, these buildings, I'm having a hard time controlling it, look really good, actually. They look kind of like what goes on out here, or what you see. Let's see if I can do this. And this here is still an active mine. Active mines up in here. This is just a narrow ribbon of water. It's actually not that big, but the mine here is all wrecked and screwed up, except for some restored buildings that we're flying over right now. And this looks really, really authentic. And a lot of this stuff looks pretty good too. See, you can see the water. This is right here, and then as we come over, it kind of fills in, and that's wrong. That is not how it is. But the sim got it part of the way right. And the reason I wanted to show that off is because this Independence Gold Mine actually rendered in, and it was remarkable. And you can drive up there, and there's all these interpretive signs, and it's very cool. It's a good day hike, and it's cold up here. It's mountain weather. There's always a chill breeze. Sometimes it's pouring rain, and there's thunderstorms that boil out of here over the rest of the Matanuska Valley here. Again, back up this direction, you get Bomber Glacier, which I know I'm going to try to find that in a later video. It feels like this is kind of a nice short video format. Maybe we can do these little excursions from time to time in places that I'm familiar with. But I have been coming up here since I was very young, maybe 11 or 12 or something. We started coming up here occasionally for, berry picking or just hiking or hanging out or what have you. And I do it often. I didn't get to do it this year. I hurt my back, and I haven't really been able to do a whole lot of anything. But coming down out here and looking over Palmer in this direction off to our left, and Wasilla is off to our right. This is really what it looks like when you're hanging out in this mountain. You're looking over the Chugach Mountains. We're coming out again of the Talkeetna Mountains. Over here is the Knik River that goes up towards Knik Glacier. can't see it. There's the butte out here. You can see it much better in real life. It's sort of a big rock that just kind of dominates this area, and we call this the butte, this region. A lot of farming out there. Very cool. And then I live off over here, off of one of these lakes. There are so many landing strips in this area. I mean, you can see one there. That's Wolf Lake. There's Palmer, Wasilla's. I don't know if you can see the strobe from. There's Wasilla right there. You can see it. And then there's small strips everywhere. There's one right behind my house that actually renders into the sim, and I was so floored when I saw that when I first downloaded the sim. It was almost too much. It sort of overwhelmed me with just how accurate things can be in this sim. Granted, it's not always very good, but that was just impressive as far as I'm concerned. Now we got the Glen Highway that goes north towards Glen Allen, goes way up towards the Matanuska Glacier. I'm definitely going to do that in a future video. We're going to fly from Palmer to Sheep Mountain, but I might intersperse that. I don't know when I'm going to do it. A lot of people like to go moose hunting in this area. It's popular. Farming in this area, like I said. Lazy Mountain here, very popular. Hiking destination, and again, this river is not full like this. Never have I ever seen it do that. It's not a tide situation, it's just an incorrect rendering. Sorry about that, had a bit of an interruption. Life does its thing. So I'm going to aim towards Palmer here. I'm trying to think of what else to say about Palmer. Okay, so one local thing, and as we fly around Alaska, there are places I know nothing about at all. They're as foreign to me as anywhere. The state is so enormous. But Palmer, I grew up here. I went to school in Palmer, basically, at Colony High School, which is, I don't know, off that direction. I was just there this afternoon, actually. My son goes there over this way. And so I know quite a bit about it. One thing that I find really cool about Palmer, which is apropos of nothing at all, is it's got this great coffee shop called Vagabond Blues. And the reason I call out Vagabond Blues, one, it was my high school hangout. We're talking over 20 years ago. But two, and this is more important to me in some ways, is that it's got this great reputation for being a great music venue. Now, we're talking coffee shop. So think coffee shop, and that's how big it is. You are thinking the right size. However, you can get pretty big names in there sometimes in this tiny venue. And granted, it tends to be folk music. People like Todd Snyder or Dom Flemons, these kinds of guys. And so the only one I've gotten a chance to get tickets to is when Dom Flemons, who's a member of the Carolina Chocolate Drops, he came up and we got front row seats there, which doesn't say much because it's a tiny doggone venue. He dropped his hat, and my buddy had to pick it up for him. And I just thought that was a really special way to get to enjoy that music and that artist. And that's something that a small town like Palmer offers. I don't know if there's other places like that in the country or where those kinds of places exist, but Palmer has that kind of place, and it's cool to me. I will say Palmer also, again, it's not a huge place. It's got the DNR stuff out of here. I think I already mentioned that. It's one of the few small airports in Alaska I've actually flown out of. I was in high school. I had a girlfriend. Her dad was a pilot, and he had an aircraft. And he took us out one day. We went north towards the Copper Basin, which we'll explore later on in later videos. He was kind of hoping to get a couple days head start on scoping out some caribou. He wasn't going to go out the same day. He was going to wait a couple of days, but kind of wanted to know generally where they're at. But we never saw any. But we flew out of here, and then when I was in high school, I was in ROTC of all things, and we took a C-130 out of here as part of our ROTC class, and that was kind of fun too. They do this thing for the ROTC students where they open the back of the plane and you can kind of look out and drop a roll of toilet paper or whatever. I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't even matter. Who cares? But yeah, so it's one of the few small plane airports I've been out of, and Wasilla being the other one. 500. So I'm going to try to land this thing. This This is not a plane that I'm particularly comfortable with. Man, this looks so good. This is my home. This is where I'm from. This is what I know. And I see this mountain range, this Chugach Range south of us every single day. And on a clear, sunny day, it is absolutely spectacular. And this, it does it justice. It's fairly, reasonably representative. And I love it. Holy cow, I might actually land this thing. Oh boy, this doesn't look good. Let's try this. Let's see if we can do it. And we do it. Almost there. Holy moly, that was not super awful. It wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. So anyways, with that, thank you so much for hanging out with me today to explore my home area, my home turf, checking out the Independence Gold Mine. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, hit like. You want to see some more content, hit subscribe. If you want to know just when it's coming out, make sure that notification bell is lit up. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.